Welcome back to the city of Damascus in Cities Skylines. And today we are looking at some of the comments that we had from the previous episode and doing some improvements in the area as well. And the area that I'm talking about is the Fisherman's Village. As you can see in here, we have, I think this is my favorite road layout in the city so far. I've been doing, as we discussed before, I've been doing quite a lot of grid styles like we have on the left in here. But these type of road layouts, like more organic, more just going with the flow, and growing the way it, in most cities, it actually happens, really. It's just like people are start building and the city start growing and you just have some sort of chaos at the beginning, and in some areas you do have those grids because they are more planned areas. But even nowadays, people are planning areas not in a very gridded area anymore. You still have grids, so you can utilize the lanes a little bit better, but it's being a little bit different. So this shows that, and I really like it. So the more planned area in the middle there, as we discussed, is the fish market and all that sort of good stuff that we have, like commercial, some offices in there with those blocks. And I think this all looks pretty cool when you look at this like that. But one of the comments was that they would like to see, I think it was Toby that mentioned that. I hope I got it right. If I didn't, apologies. But it's like, how do you actually build this? Like, want to see a little bit of the building process, and we'll do that. So this is one of the things that we'll tackle in here. I want to potentially complete this side over here, get some sort of indication on how we'll build on this side over there as well. And I want to prepare this for expansion to this region, because this road will actually come through here. And then this one, I'm thinking that might go through there and cross in here as well, making another connection. And we may have some other connection in here, but that'll be for later. One idea that was also mentioned was to have some drums in this area, and I'll certainly want to do that. The reason why we don't have this yet is because, as you can see, we have this train line that we go through close to the downtown, that goes all the way to our amusement park over here next to downtown. So what I want to do is, at some point, not specifically today, but I want to connect those two, and then this will be just a continuous line, like just back and forth. At the moment, the line finishes here. We have this kind of go around in this area, but I want to bring this all the way, potentially all the way over here, as this road goes all the way over there, but I don't know. We might even bring it over here, but at the moment, the goal is just to bring it over here. So I won't do this today yet, because we still need to grow this area before we make all these connections, but this will happen, so bear with me for a couple more episodes. We'll get there. But the final thing that I want to do is, if you look at what we have in here, we have this junction with access to the main highway, and we have a few ways to get to the highway. We have this connection over here, or this connection should go to that side, and we have this connection to go in here. I haven't looked at this yet, but I have a feeling that there is a lot of traffic that comes through here that wants to go into the highway. So that's what I'll look at right now. We do have some, maybe this is the best place. Yeah, there we go. So there is a lot of trucks that are coming all the way through here. Some are going that way. There is a lot going this way. And I don't know if we can fix this in an easy manner. What we could do is, somewhere around here, make a slip lane, although this is pretty close. I think we don't have as many problems as I thought we would, to be honest. I think we should be good. Because what I was thinking was that we might need to make a connection around here, so we have an easy access to there, or an easy access from this side to this side over here. If I look at traffic on this road, it seems like there isn't many cars coming this way, which is good. And if I look at this one, that is like a bigger connection in here. So, and then they are using this one to catch the highway as well. Not a big deal. Might be worthwhile having a slip lane in here to get into the highway, so we avoid some of these couple of roundabouts, and people have a better way of going there, especially if they're coming from here. But I think that's all that we are doing. So in terms of road layout, there are a few things that I look at before creating this layout. One of them is basically elevation. So if we look at the menu here and we have the turning heights, you see that this area is very, very flat with very few exceptions, like namely the river. So there isn't much for us to go through in terms of elevation. That would be the first thing that I would do. So for example, if I need to add a road around here, I'll use the elevation in my favor to make sure that we can go around that and make like a seamless transition and use that in our favor instead of making like a road just going straight in here, because there is a lot of elevation in there. We'll go around here like trying to use going, each of these lines is one elevation step. So instead of going straight, you want to go a little bit over each one of those lines, so you have a much smoother transition in there. But that's not mainly the case, especially if we look at this area that we're building. The other thing that I usually look at is what we have in the map. Like, do we have rocks? Do we have trees? And in a way, we do have trees around here. So if we grab this road over here, I usually go with the freeform road. And then what I would do, I'll just go around the trees. And this is one way of that's an autosave going on in there. But this is one way of making sure that it creates like an interesting shape. And the final way of doing this, other than elevation plus obstacles, I'll call obstacles like trees, rocks, and anything that you might have in the map. The other way is just playing with shapes, really. Like, I know that we are always conditioned to the grid, especially if you're trying to make most use of the space. But just keep in mind that cities sometimes don't make smart use of the space, especially if you consider that most of the cities are built in very fertile lands. So that's not the best use for that land that you're building on. And usually people sell farms and make that into smaller lots, so people would build houses in there. Like, this is really not a smart move in society, but it's what happens. But try to get away from that, especially in suburbs, in areas that are not your downtown. In downtown areas like over here, we are all about grids, like making good use. This is very expensive area. We want to make use of every single grid in there. But as you move away, as you move towards some other areas, it's good to do something like that. You don't need to always build in every single space that you have. Have some buffer, like this space in between. You can basically go in there and let me grab a tree, and you can add just one more tree over there or over here. And then you can make this area look a lot more like a suburb, because you usually have a lot more trees in the area of the suburbs as well. And slowly you're doing this, you go detailing, and then your area will look a little bit nicer and greener and a lot more like a suburb instead of just buildings. Right? And I think this is one of the main mistakes that people will make. They'll come to me and it's like, oh, how this looks so much better on your city. Like, why can't I can do something like that? Yes, you can. You just need to pay attention to a few things. And one of the things is basically, yeah, add more trees in suburb areas, play around with shapes, make sure that you don't just think about buildings, but the empty space is all part of cities as well, and it makes sense to have them here and there. So keep that in mind. But in terms of the layout, then what I usually do, one of the things that I try to do, I try to not to have four-way interchange, except when you are deep inside an area. Like for example, in here, this is a no-through road. This is not a main connection for the area. Traffic will usually prefer to come through here because they are trying to go there. As you can see, lots of traffic in here. Or they use this main road over here. So we don't expect much traffic in here. And that's fine. As you can see, we have a four-way interchange that won't cause many issues. Here, whoops, that just jumped. Here we have a little bit more traffic, but it's still, because we have low density residential all around, this doesn't become a problem. Low density has a lot less cars and a lot less traffic than high density, and I'm keeping low density commercial in there as well. And we do have public transportation in here. As you can see, we have a bus stop in here with a lot of people in there. Everyone will get on that bus, hopefully. There we go. Fully full capacity, and this is not a problem. We're trying to keep the interchange like just three-way, and that will help you out a little bit. And try, although I've done this in a few places, like for example in here, try to not so close junctions like this. If you have two or three like this, everything will start falling apart. That's too many nodes. And even if you look at the traffic in there, you'll start seeing that this will be always red, even though there is just like one or two cars in there, just because like this one, there was one car and it became slightly orange. And that's just because the nodes are too close together in here. So keep that in mind. This will also help you. But then when we get in here, like this one's probably one that I'll have a four-way interchange. This is a no-through road. I can't see any car coming through here. And what I'll do, I'll just put shapes in here. Like there is really nothing other than that. This, we just messed that up, but I'll do a quick fix on this one. Just things look a little bit better. And I'll probably have to redo the housing in here because we lost some space there. But again, I'm not worried about space. I'm leaving some gaps in the middle in there, and this is all right. This is not a problem at all. And then play around with curves, make something interesting, make sure that you're happy with whatever you have in here. Sometimes just don't connect things, just like keep them close enough, and maybe if you're using mods, use move it to make things connect so people will be able to transition, but cars won't. And also this makes things also interesting. If you're not touching, try to use some pathways that will potentially help with people walking. Like we have just noticed that we have a house on top of it, but like we have this one in here, we have that one over there as well, so that can help people walking around. And doing this will hopefully make things more interesting. And one of the things that I'm thinking here is that I don't want to connect these roads because this is too close. I don't want this to be the main way to get access to that. So this is potentially the closer I'll get. If anyone wants to get in here, they'll go through here or to there. And we will keep playing around with this. I might do another one over there. And I kept like things very, very close in here, which is a little bit of a challenge. I shouldn't do that, but you know, I feel like this area will be very just residential, low density, so that'll be right. I'll leave this space so we can add some trees. As this is a roundabout, I feel like there'll be a little more noise in there. And as you can see, there is a bit more noise in there, and adding some trees will prevent that sound to travel to the house. So that's how I think about this and how I build that. Other than that, I use node controller renewal. I go through all the junctions in here. I use this option to remove the markings. Usually in suburbs like that, where you don't have through traffic and you don't have a lot of cars in there, you don't need all the crossings in there. Like that doesn't really make sense. In roads like this, we might need that, and I'll show you in a second what I do with those. I'll use intersection marking tool. I'll probably just copy this one that we've done before. I'll go in here and just paste. So if you don't know how to do, that is one that we need to fix here, so I will show you that. If you don't know how to do, this one as well, how to do crossing, you basically hold shift, click and click, and then you have some crossing. And then you could, I'll copy this one. You could do some changes in there and copy and paste. What I'm doing the dash type, not parallel. This is a zebra. And what I'm also doing is some graphic effects, just so we have the crack in the crossing in there. And then we do the same here, and then we paste that. And there we go. This is in there. Just keep in mind that node controller renewal, it doesn't remove the crossing itself, it just removes the marking. If you want to remove the crossing, you can use Traffic Manager President Edition or TMP, and then you use this option, Junction Restrictions, and you go in there and you have these symbols. So if you select this, you remove the actual crossing. So just keep that in mind. You're not removing crossing with the node controller, you are just removing the marking itself. I hope that helps a little bit. Now, what I will do, I will keep following this pattern and fill up the areas around here and there. Make sure that we have this area all filled in, and then we'll come back to talk a little bit about the zoning as well. All right, the new layout is done, and I just follow the same principles that we've discussed before, and I think these turned out to be quite good actually. So one or two things that I think is worth mentioning, I've added another connection in here, so providing more ways for those two areas to connect instead of forcing them all to go through this roundabout and to get in here and in here to go from one side to the other. It's always a good idea. Give them a lot of options so you don't funnel your traffic just to one junction, or in this case one roundabout, and then you cause like traffic to go up and stop all your cars to get where they want to go. And something else that I've done was in regards to this slip lane in here. So what I've done, I brought this road in here, and initially I moved this quite close, but then later I made this slightly curve around so we had more space for the slip lane there. What I want to do in here is just make sure that we use the lane connector. So instead of crossing from here to there, they will all get their own lanes. And then right here, it's where they would change lanes, like this car just changing lanes in there. and now this is a more realistic entrance for the highway. Now we will do use intersection marking tool to make all the markings in here, make sure that this looks a little bit better like what we've done in here. But we need to take a look at the zoning, and as you can see, we don't have anything zoned in there. Every time we change some road connections, just go through and make sure like you don't lose zoning areas like we've done in here. I went through some of those and make sure I fixed those. So we can look at this and see what we have. First thing that I'll notice is that we don't have any parks at all in this area over here. We have this soccer field over here. We have this one over here, and that's all. So if you look at this view, it might be easier. So we'll have to add some parks in this area, and then we can do zoning, or we can go the other way around. That doesn't really matter. What I'll do, I'll just pause a little bit and show you what I'm thinking. We have quite a high demand for residential and some for commercial. So what I'm thinking is that we use some of these areas. By the way, you can see that I have left some gaps in here on purpose, and I'm actually thinking about building like a park over here. So this makes all this area happy, and yeah, we have like even less traffic in the region. But with the commercial, what I like to do is basically add a couple of commercial buildings here and there, like for example this corner, and maybe another one in the corners over here. Might do like a few at the front of the highway in here, just so we create like some sort of buffer in the area. But yeah, just dot these around, make sure that they have access to commercial, like easily access to commercial like we do over here. And there's not really a rule or anything, I just like to do that because then it looks a little bit more realistic. It's just like that small corner shop that you have, you know, near your house. And this is what I feel like we are doing here. And after that, we'll go and add all the residential around the area. I don't think I would add any industrial or offices in here. We have some over there already, and the area over here is all about industry. So we have plenty of this. So I'll go around, finish adding all the zoning in this area, and I might just use this one. Be careful to not zone on your roundabouts. Like if we do it like this, go back there and remove it, just so it's really how it should be. And then we'll be back when that's done. And that's done. And by the way, I did add the water in there. So there we go. We do have water, but we have all the zoning. So what I'll do next, I will create the... Actually, before we create the park, we have to take a look at services and see what we have available. We do have medical service over there, but none in this region. So I will go and add, I think I'll do a doctor's office in here somewhere, maybe next to the, I'll keep the park for residential. I think that'll be all right. Maybe I'll go closer to the highway here. Do we have anything zoned in there? No, we don't. There we go. Perfect place for this. And we might need a... we do have this cemetery in here. So I might not do a crematorium for now. We'll see. And in terms of fire department, we might need one around here as well. I might do... They'll complain regardless of the side that I'll do it. I'll do it in here. And the reason is if we need to add another one in here, we have more than enough space on this side. And here we don't have any connections to this, so it's harder for service to get in there. And that's the only reason. Police, I might do the same thing, go around this area. And in terms of school, I think we should be all right, or maybe not. Let's see. We do have some capacity in here, and I believe we have a high school in there as well, which we do have, again, some capacity. I'll keep it for now. When this grows, you know what? We'll need that. I'm pretty sure we'll need that. There is nothing in this area that might help us in terms of education. And as you can see, this is the only one there, which is, yeah, pretty low, I would say. So what I might do it in here, which then give access. If anyone comes across this bridge, it gives access through here, and that's closer. I will hold on the high school. I have a feeling that's enough in there, and then we'll work with the park. So we'll create a new park in here, and I'll probably add one, like a dog park in the area or something like that. But let's work on that, and then we'll create the park. And before I forget, let me increase the zoning in here, so we have all the suburb actually covered in here. So we use the highway as our kind of limit for the suburb. Also remove this because this looks ugly, and bring this all the way here. And then all of this will still be Fisherman's Village. Okay, that's all done. I think this park here is pretty simple, but it looks really nice. Just like add one more tree here and there, and it looks pretty cool. We're keeping the usage of the same trees that we use across the whole city, so it looks like part of the building. Keeping consistency is good. We can do different trees, that's fine, but if you do it, just make sure you have a reason. For example, if you want to make this area, let's say, pop a little bit, we could select the blooming jacaranda, and we could add maybe over here, just like as a detail in this area, so you have like a feature tree in there. So always try to also use the same feature trees throughout the city, because that's usually you have in the cities, you have some trees that are approved to plant, otherwise it could be an invasive species as well, and you want to be sure that you use the ones that are approved for all your region. I've also had some service in here, as we mentioned, and I think I forgot to mention that I've done this little bit in here. So did this piece elevated because the idea is that when, let's say, when it rains, there's more water coming through here and it flows into the river. So we have this elevated piece in here, and also add the new road that goes onto the train line to start connecting that other area as well. So we're starting to leave everything ready and prepared for this to all work, and getting closer to have our train connection in here as well. Now, talking about train connection, well, before we talk about train connection, we still have a couple of issues with lack of workers in here. While all of this builds up, the demand for residential is not there anymore, because we do have plenty of zoning, and while this fills up all the zoning in here, we will still have no demand. So that is how the game works. But we have to take a look at public transportation as well, make sure that we have everything in place. Maybe we don't need to do anything, maybe we do need to do something. At the moment, we do have this bus line in here, we have a stop over there. I'm thinking that it might be worthwhile having another stop on this side, so we help people from these suburbs in here. This one would accommodate those two. And then we have metro nearby. I think for now that might be all that we need in here. And we can do a stop just next there. And one stop, I think I have to be in here, but as close as possible as this one. So we start gathering people around this area and even giving them an easy access to the park over there as well. Look at this, we need to raise these roads a little bit. I think on this side we might need to raise this one a little bit as well. There we go. Maybe I did a little bit too much over there. Just trying to keep on the same level. And there we go, have a lot of people walking already across here, which is quite nice to see. I'll keep this bridge as sort of a historical bridge in here. I think this looks pretty cool, and yeah, why not? What we might do later on is add some pedestrian bridges in other areas in here, but for now I'll keep it as it is. I think the only thing that it's remaining now is to wait for this to build up a little bit. I'll wait for that. I'll add some trees along the way, especially in areas where we have like these gaps in here, just to make sure that we have some detailing and that everything looks the same. Because if you look at this right now, you can see that this area is a lot greener than this area, apart from this park in here. But the main reason is because we did the trees in the middle. So I'll do that while this grows, and I'll be back with hopefully the final state for this. I think that's growth enough. We have some progress in here, and I want to show you just how that looks now. I did start implementing some new road layout system in here. As I mentioned, we want to keep that going that way, and also in the future going that way as well. So I'll leave this ready so we know that we have to come back here and keep working in this area. Now everything is going on quite well. We just had like some excess of cars in there, but no traffic at all. I can show you the traffic layouts in here. We are doing well, 81%, so that is pretty good. The population in the area has grown a little bit as well, 3,400. Again, using realistic population, each of these houses, they have like, this one for example, have one person in there. It's very, very low density, maximum of, I think it's 4 people per house that we have in here. So we don't expect a huge boost in population because of this area, as everything is just low density. But I do have a little surprise if we stick to the end, which is over here. So there was one comment as well that we should add some ferries all the way through here, going in direction for the downtown. Now, there are some challenges, and I've added this here. We are seeing some passengers now. That's fantastic. We had 0 people in here before. So I might have to change a few things in here. But we now have 5 passengers. Look at that. We have more people. I was using the 20 passenger one, but I'll have to upgrade this to have more passengers in there. But what I've done, and I've opened this up so ferries would be able to go through the rail tracks here. This is one of the new ferries as well, the 20 passenger one. But where this is going, so I think it's easier if I show you this pathway. We needed the, how's that called? The ferry depot, and so I've had one in here. Probably that's temporary. We might change this later. So this is going here and stopping just there. So at the moment it's just 2 stops. And just to show you where this goes to the river, this is where this goes to the river. And why, you might ask, I've just added in here. So the problem that we might have is that when it's low like this, and that's the reason why I put down this road in here, I end up destroying by accident some of the buildings in there. That's why we have these new buildings coming up now. But I brought this road all the way through here, and this is low. Ferries can go in here, they can stop in there quite nicely, I would say. And this is the level that we are looking for. If I put a ferry stop at the top over there, let's grab this one. Look at how high that will be. This is ridiculously high, and that'll be really ugly to see ferries stopping there and people like just flying on and off. And basically that's the height of all the area around here. We do have some space, but we don't have a way to bring roads in there anymore. And this goes around the whole downtown, around the university. It's all that same height, and all the way to the Colossal Park as well. This area, there is always people dying here, just like a massive amount of people dying in this area. But if you look at this, everywhere we look, this is pretty high, even at the back here. And just for show you how high that is, it's pretty high. So what I would do, I'll take a look at the workshop and see if I can find so many planes there. If I can find a asset that will fit better in higher place, so we can get this properly set up. And let me get this in, maybe get up to 4 again and change this to 30 people, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that might look a little bit better, and if it does, then it will make sense for me to extend the line. Otherwise, we'll do it some other way. Maybe we stop on the other side of the river only. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But this was a suggestion from, I think, the Global Special, and thanks a lot for that. And I will make sure that that happens. But that's all that I had for today. Hopefully, I just saw one thing in here that I want to change. I don't want people actually stopping in here. They should go straight away, so we don't have like any problems with the traffic in there. And the same thing. Yeah, definitely no crossing there, but they have the keep going sign, or I don't know the name of that sign, but that's what I'm calling it. But yeah, there we go. This area is still growing. I've added one extra fire station in here, and other than that, everything is basically the same. But I will wait for this to grow even more. At the moment, we are with 361,000 people. Population is still going slowly up, and I think we can reach 362 when all these buildings finish growing. So I hope this answers some questions, and I hope this shows a little bit on how I approach the building and how I actually create this road layout that you see here. But let me know in the comments if you have more questions or more suggestions. They are always welcome. And thank you for all the patrons, for everyone that watch, for all the subscribers, non-subscribers, for everyone that leaves a like, for everyone that leaves a comment, or really, I appreciate just the view. Thank you a lot for that. And maybe consider watching the video on your screen, because I think you might like that. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.